Hey, I'm Cam, and I'm hanging out with Rob on Front Row Live.
I'm curious why Jeff Bhasker and Tyler Johnson were so important for the
I like this question.
major label debut album.
Yeah, well, actually, it started out as a Kickstarter project, and Tyler Johnson was a roommate of an old boyfriend, and I met him that way, and he was an assistant to Jeff Bhasker. So as we got our stuff together and got it mostly done, we wanted to show Jeff like what we've been working on, because we've kind of been like using his studio under his nose.
Right.
And he was like, the day before I got there, he told an actress, a famous actress, that all her like attempts at music were really bad. So I was ready for brutal honesty, and he was like, this is a hit. Like, this is a hit. I love this. And yeah, it started out a very important like mentor type relationship, and that's why especially for the second album too, like it's just like family, and everybody we grow together, so it's not the same. It's still becoming something awesome.
Now, for Untamed, it wasn't your first time in the studio, and you know these guys have been in the game for quite some time.
I know.
What was that like for you? Because I'm sure that's kind of intimidating at the same time.
It is. Yeah, no, most of the time you're sitting there like really sweaty and very terrified, but that's kind of one of the things that I really am so stoked about The Voice. They do such a good job with Miley and Alicia, like helping role models, like especially I think women get, sometimes it feels like we can get intimidated into being quiet easier. And the point is to listen and be respectful and work with them. But like, you got to have the guts to like try and figure out who you are on your own, you know? And that's, luckily, like both Tyler and Jeff are so great and so excited about working with me that they're so encouraging of me being who I am, and that's it's really lucky. So I think it's fate, you know.
Do you see them happening for the next album? I mean, you've had a big cycle for Untamed. You just wrapped up the Burning House tour. So where do you see yourself now for album 2?
Yeah, I'm working with them already. Yeah, so we have started it already. It's so
Has this been during the tour?
Yeah, a little bit. But mostly the cool part is that I feel like all of us, I mean, Jeff already is crazy good, but all of us have just been getting better and better. Right. And you get kind of a more defined idea of what you want to do. And like to start out not just as a Kickstarter project this time, but as like a real label budget and full control over it. I still want to keep it kind of insulated where you don't let too much outside, because sometimes in Nashville everybody can influence each other a lot easier, and you all share resources, and it ends up sounding kind of similar, and that is like my nightmare. So I'm trying really hard to make sure it's something that is just so what I want to say, because I don't take it for granted that I get to make something like this. Exactly.
And Untamed was recorded around the world pretty much. Are you doing the same for this next album? And why is it so important to go to different studios for different tracks?
Actually, that was more the Untamed all around thing was basically because of like, where could we get in? Where could we learn things? And then sometimes we learn things, we do them wrong, and we have to redo them again, and we'd be in a different spot. It's a lot easier if you're in the same spot, because you know you're going to get the same tone the whole time. But we'll probably be kind of home based out of just probably Jeff's spot in LA and Tyler's spot in Nashville, and try and keep it a little bit more concise, because then I think you can get some of those great cohesive sounds across the album that you just keeps it really warm and kind of like together.
Where do you feel you've grown the most in the last year at least?
My vocals, probably the most, because I've just been touring so much this last year, and like your voice gets like a workout, you know, and like you can't see it on the outside, but like it's crazy. Like I'll go back into the studio, and just this last week I was singing, and Jeff was like, whoa, like this is crazy. You have so much, like your voice was great before, but you just get better and better. And the songwriting, I think I'm better. I'm hoping I'm better. But I think it's the toughest part is just reaching in and trying to find something that's really real for you. And that's in my experience, that's what's worked for me and what connects me to my fans. So got to keep digging.
And what's the difference from, because you released records before the label got involved. You had a record out and an EP.
Yeah,
right?
yes. So actually that was through the record label, the EP was. Okay. And then early on, I had kind of done stuff on my own, like released things independently, just sort of like learning as a writer. But as my main artistry stuff, like that EP was the first thing, but it definitely, the label being behind you is a very interesting, like, step forward. It's like you don't have that indie like control over everything, so that takes a second to kind of get used to, but you also get to reach so many more people, and you get to meet so many more people that you wouldn't have met, and they get to experience your music when on a smaller scale it's a little bit harder, but it's really interesting how it's changing.
The Fifth Harmony fans are always asking about this question. You had an awesome performance with the girls. What was that like in the rehearsal process? And, what are your thoughts on the actual performance?
Man, I got to tell you, I went into it thinking, okay, these girls are like great singers. They're probably like divas. You never know. And I went into that rehearsal, and they came in. They were actually had a delayed plane, and they came in all just in like comfy sweat airplane clothes. Yeah. And they were the sweetest, like most genuine, and they just thanked me they were like, we're so grateful to be a part of country music. Thank you for letting us. I mean, they were just good eggs, and they sang in the studio. We were like rehearsing. They sang acoustic, and it was like mind-blowing. Like they really are, like, some people think, oh, it's like auto-tuned or whatever. Like, no. They're like super, and I know their fans know this, but they're super great talents. So it was it was such a cool moment. I've always wanted to be in a girl group, so that was like my moment to kind of be in one.
And lastly, what can we expect for 2017? You already mentioned you're working on the new album, but what can we expect? More touring? I know you're going to the UK and stuff.
New album, I'm going to the UK for C2C, and I'm going on tour with George Strait.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I know.
Oh my God, it just doesn't stop here. You guys be sure to check out Cam. If you don't have it already, be sure to get Untamed, because it's an awesome record, and just catch you on tour sometime. Thanks for hanging out with me. Thanks for watching here on Front Row Live.